And households across the United States have been stocking up on everything from dish soap to hand sanitizers and Clorox wipes. But which of these products is most effective when it comes to protecting your family from COVID-19? Dr. Keri Lestage is the COO of BioPlanet. She is here to explain which products you should use and when. So doctor, I guess the first question for our viewers is, what is the scientific difference and not the marketing difference between sanitizers and disinfectants?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly, it's a confusing one because we use these terms interchangeably. According to the EPA, the distinction between a sanitizer and a disinfectant has to do with how well it actually kills or kills germs off the surface. So in a sanitizer, for example, it achieves what we call a 3-log kill, which means that it kills 99.9% of germs on the surface. In the case of a disinfectant, on the other hand, it kills most of the germs on the surface. So if you've ever seen the claim, the 99.9999%, that's a disinfecting claim. That's the key difference.
So then when should you be using a disinfectant versus a sanitizer?
So in the case of high-touch surfaces, your doorknobs, your countertops, these are the things that you want to use your disinfecting wipes on in particular. You want to make sure that you're using them so that they are wet for what we call the dwell time. On the back of your package of your cleaning or disinfecting product, you will have instructions that tell you that in the case of Clorox wipes, that you have to leave the surface wet for at least 4 minutes to achieve full disinfection. So it's important that you make sure that you hit all those high-touch surfaces, leave them wet for that contact time, and make sure that you're using them on a really regular basis, daily at the minimum. But I would say any time that you can think about, walking through those doors or touching those high-touch surfaces a couple of times a day, take out a wipe and just wipe everything down. It's a really good practice to do, especially these days.
So, doctor, what are some of the best cleaning products to fight the virus? I know we've mentioned Clorox wipes and perhaps products that are bleach-based, but, I was in the midst of this pandemic, I learned that, for example, you could use hydrogen peroxide. That was an effective tool or an effective disinfectant, and of course, ethyl alcohol. But I wonder, what should people be thinking about in terms of products when they're thinking about if they can actually even get their hands on any today, but what should they be looking at?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think what we need to understand is that some of these household things like the alcohols and the peroxides, a lot of those are actually geared for our antiseptics, or more geared for using on your skin. From my perspective, looking for a EPA registered disinfectant, and you can take a look on the back of those labels. You'll see an EPA registration number on the back of it. It'll tell you exactly what germs it kills and how quickly. I think that's really got to be the focus, and the making sure that you are using these products that have been tested and have gone through the rigor of the EPA registration process is a really important piece of it. The homegrown and the what we call our natural products, I'm less excited about using them, especially during this time, because it's just too easy to make a mistake.
So that was actually going to be my question, because prior to all of this, basically I used, vinegar and water to do a lot of the cleaning in my house, and it worked really, really well on most surfaces. But if you are thinking about all natural products, you say you prefer if people lean the other way?
Yeah, the vinegar and water, it certainly works. But I think that in the case of Corona, you don't want to make a mistake, and you want to make sure that you're using products and you're using it in the way that they've been tested to ensure that you're getting the level of kill that's required. You just don't want to make a mistake under these circumstances, especially if you're living with someone or yourself is part of the vulnerable population in this particular pandemic.
It's a great point, doctor, because, up until this pandemic, while I always kept some bleach on hand, I had a switch to using natural products that you buy at the supermarket, places like Whole Foods. I do note that the last time I was in a supermarket, which was now over a month ago, that none of the Clorox or Lysol or, ethyl alcohol-based products were on the shelves. There were tons of natural products still on the shelves. So it led me to believe that people love the natural wonderful stuff when everything's hunky-dory, but when, you know, when it hits the fan, people gravitate back to those chemicals. And Anne-Marie and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. You know, I definitely find myself when I'm disinfecting the apartment, I worry about breathing in as much Clorox as I'm breathing in when I'm disinfecting the countertops and the doorknobs and things.
I understand the concern, but what I can tell you is that organizations like Clorox, these are companies that take consumer safety and product safety incredibly. It's really important for them. They take a lot of time not only to make sure that it's effective against the germs, but it's also safe to use. And I would argue that in a lot of cases, some of these, even though it's labeled as natural, it's not necessarily a safer option. And given the rigor that these products need to go through and the scrutiny that they go through, I would feel very comfortable using these products in my home under any circumstances, but most certainly under these ones.
One more quick question for you, doctor. So I have like a combination of fabric masks and sort of the paper masks that were given to me. Should you be disinfecting those masks?
Yeah, that's a difficult question to answer honestly, because in the case of fabric masks, it's easy again to make a mistake. And you know, ideally, if you've got the privilege to be able to have a new mask every time that you go out and use it, then that's by far the better choice. In the case where you don't necessarily have that option, there are products on the market that are disinfectants that have what is called a soft surface claim. And that is a claim that you should look for. If you do, if worst case scenario, that's the only option that you have, then that would be my recommendation, is that you use a product with a soft surface claim to disinfect those soft surfaces, those portable masks.
All right, Dr. Lestage, thank you so much.